So hey guys, I'm back with a new video. In this video, we will learn about the blockchain components in the blockchain framework. So let us go over a list of components that we will cover in this video and in the subsequent videos. So the blockchain views the financial system as something that it can improvise. So it started off by trying to replace the central authorities or a trusted third party like a bank. Whether it is working out or not, it's something that we still need to explore. So it has come up with some amazing solutions to few of the problems that we as an industry is trying to solve. So let us see the components of the blockchain framework that we will be covering. So the first one is transaction. The second one is wallet. The third one is signature, then mempool, then the network, consensus, hashing, and the block. And finally, the entire blockchain. Is it ideal for the banks to have complete control on all of this data? So on all of this financial data. Now the banks have access to everything that we can do with our money and can choose whether or not they want to share it with us or not. Maybe it would have been better if everyone has access to these records. So instead of having a ledger maintained by the bank, we could create a shared ledger that everyone has access to. So if this becomes possible, it would allow everyone to have complete control on their information, right? So is there a way we can use this shared ledger to establish the same level of security plus the trust that this centralized third party provides, which is the bank in this case? So if you want to send some money to other person, bank often are the only third parties that handle it via things like net banking, smart cards, e-cash. Then companies like Venmo also need to communicate with the banks and are also handling your money. Then the list of companies that does this handling of your money can go along pretty quickly as you try to do more complex transactions. Now this can result in delay in the transaction times and the fees collected by the companies that are handling your money. So blockchain, by creating a shared ledger, makes it possible to bypass these third parties and allowing you to send the money more quickly and can cut down on the fees associated with making a transaction. So these are the problems that the blockchain is trying to help us in getting solved. So something which is the work in progress. Now let us understand how financial transactions actually occur without the blockchain. Now banks, as we know, keep track of our transactions to keep our money safe and secure. Now they are what is known as the trusted third party or a central mediator, which is defined as an entity that facilitates interaction between the two parties. Now that term comes a lot in the blockchain technology as well. So they help establish the security that we need to store our money and trust our transactions. So this is extremely valuable, and what is really interesting is how they do it. So they maintain a ledger, which is a list of transaction records. It includes the information who sends the money, to whom it was sent, how much was sent. Having a record of all the transactions will help the bank to do some pretty cool stuff. For one, they always know who has the money, who owes the money, and how much money exists in the system. So they can use the information to enforce and ensure the trust between people who are making the transactions that might not even know about one another. So this helps us solve what is known as the double spending problem. So the double spending is the term which means that when someone spends the same money more than once. So for a financial system to work, this cannot be possible, right? Because that person will basically be duplicating the money. So the banks know what was sent and when it was done. So if someone tries to spend the money twice, the transaction that happened first will first go through and gets committed, and by the time the second transaction will happen, the money will be gone already. So the bank knows at what time the first transaction happened so that it can later invalidate the other ones. So this helps us to settle any disputes or confusion or theft that might happen. Since they have all this information, they can decide who is what. So that is the one way to go about in solving this problem. And it is one that we have done for a very long time. Does that make sense? But blockchain provides a different way of solving this double spending problem. So let us proceed further with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, as we know, is a digital currency that utilizes the blockchain to facilitate financial transactions. It laid the ideas underlining many other ideas for other blockchains. So it is based on the idea of blocks to group and then validate transactions. So a block, as we know, is a group of transactions that is bundled together. This we discussed just a while back. So the Bitcoin completely changed the view of how we view and understand the system of the currency. So let us now proceed further and learn about the SHA-256 hash. Now, generating a SHA-256 hash from whatever data you provide, it is unique for the words that you provide. So similar data doesn't mean that the hash values will be similar, right? So if you change the data slightly, it can result in a completely different hash value. So the only purpose of hash is to make sure that it is a unique value. So let me demonstrate the SHA-256 hashing algorithm by an example. So here you can see it's an online hash function. So if I provide an input to this, so this is a test, and you can see this gives us a unique hash value. If I change even a single character from this input, you will see a very different hash value for the new input value. So if I say this as you can see this changes. So this means that if you change this data slightly, it will result in a completely different hash value. So the only purpose of hash is to make sure that it's a unique one. Now it is not something to refer when you want to understand when something in data is related. It is used to produce a digital identity for any given data that you provide. So it is a basic idea. As you go beyond to more such ideas such as blocks, blockchains, mempool and other things. So the hash serves this detailed purpose. So here if you see, a hash value is a digital fingerprint for the information. This is a unique string of alphanumerical characters that represents a set of data. So to get a hash value, you start with a bit of data and we pass it into a hash function which maps a group of data to a unique hash value. Now it will take in the information that you given to the hash function and it will create a completely unique hash value out of it. Make sense? So this hash value now acts as a unique identifier for the original data. So this allows us to identify a given set of data much more easily by referencing its hash value. So SHA-256 is a specific hashing algorithm which stands for secure hashing algorithm, and 256 represents the output of the algorithm. So the alphanumerical representation that you are seeing on the screen is a result of the hashing function, right? And this is a 256-bit number. So Bitcoin uses this SHA-256 algorithm to create a unique hash value for each block in the blockchain. So back to our slides. So the reason for this is to create a unique identifier for every block in the blockchain. Now this allows us to do some really cool things like reference the block by its hash value. Now we can also create the foundation of the blockchain by basically joining these blocks together and form a chain, as you can see in this diagram. So to understand how it builds a chain, we need to understand the blocks first and then we will understand the entire blockchain. So this was all I wanted to cover in this video. So if you like the video, do give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, make sure to hit that like button, and I will see you guys in the very next one.